Namaste viewers and welcome to Bend It Like LD. As my first video for 2020, I'd like to focus on a very important topic, yoga for emotional release and emotional well-being. As we move into fast-paced life and stressful situations all around us, it becomes very imperative that we focus on our mental health and our emotional well-being, and this video aims to do exactly that. This video aims to create a set of asanas that can create changes in the nervous system in such a way that one is able to handle stressful situations and not get impacted by them on a mental and an emotional level. And even if there are situations around it, we are able to handle that better, bringing in more contentment, joy, creating strength, creating stability, and creating a lot of balance into our body, thereby reflecting it in our mental health as well. So, sitting up in child's pose first, staying here for a couple of breaths, understanding how the body works, how the dynamics of the nervous system work. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the nervous system today while the video is on. So moving into a short downward dog from there, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lifting your heels all the way up, bend the knees slightly and bring the chest all the way towards your thighs. Now downward dog itself is a very foundational strong pose and instantly creates a sense of well-being because it gives you a lot of release on multiple levels, right from your spine, right from releasing tightness around your hips, around your hamstrings, and that itself translates to a sense of general well-being across the entire body and at a cellular level, and then moving on to your emotional health as well. And from downward dog, from Parvatasana, slowly step your right foot between your palms, and we are going to start with Warrior One. Now, Warrior One is really one of the basic, the foundational poses, which is really important in the sense that it brings in strength to the body. Now, warrior, as you see, is one can compare it with warrior of Shiva the warrior, wherein he stands really nice and strong. So bringing your right foot firmly pressing into the mat, press the outer edges of your left foot and really stay strong in this posture for about 5 breaths. And from there, slowly moving on to a high lunge by lifting the back heel of the mat, pulling up the back kneecap, staying real strong and tucking the tailbone and drawing the navel in throughout the practice instantly builds strength as well as stability in the body, because it's not easy to hold this posture for 5 or 6 breaths. And slowly from there, dropping your palms down, slowly drop the back knee down onto the mat, and we'll move on to another strong pose, Anjaneyasana, almost like Hanuman or Anjaneya, one of the strongest gods in Hindu mythology. So interlocking your fingers on your front knee, press the palms down by straightening your elbows and slowly stretch back. Again, a very powerful posture to build in strength and confidence into the body, like Anjaneya. And slowly from there, take your right arm behind and see if you can hold your back of your left thigh, and stretching your left arm up, tuck the tailbone, draw the navel in and start to stretch back. The reason why we do these kind of postures is that this twisting posture coupled with a strength posture does a lot of work at a core level and at a nervous system level as well, bringing in a lot of steadiness, creating a lot of strength, and also creating a bit of heat in the body. And from there, moving back to downward facing dog, repeating this on the other side. Slowly bring the left foot between your palms, starting with Warrior One. Now, if you see, really, I'm not really going very deep in Warrior One. That's because I want to make sure that the back kneecap is lifted up. I want to make sure that my hips are square. And I also want to make sure that my tailbone is not jutting out. So I'm tucking my tailbone and drawing the belly in. And just making sure that my left knee is just aligned in line with my left ankle. Staying nice and strong here for 5 breaths. Pressing the outer right foot firmly into the mat and moving to a high lunge from there by slowly lifting my back heel completely above my toes, pulling the back kneecap up, staying nice and strong here for about 3 to 5 breaths, whatever is comfortable to you. Building steadiness, building stability, building strength into the practice. And from there, moving on to Anjaneya asana. This is a modified version of Anjaneya asana we are doing to just open the shoulders and to create a lot of movement in your spine. So interlock the fingers on your left knee. Press the palms down, straighten the elbows and start to lift the chest up. A simple act of lifting the chest up is a great way to improve confidence, is a great way to release fears from your system. And that's exactly what we are aiming today. We want to build strength, we want to release fears so that we can handle everything with calmness and composure. And from there, slowly taking your left palm and holding the back of your right thigh, lift your right arm up and try to stretch back as much as your body allows you. And make sure you're pressing the entire back leg into the mat. And slowly move back to Adho Mukha Svanasana or Parvatasana from there. Press the palms firmly, spread your fingers nice and wide. Step between your palms. Separate your feet mat distance apart. And from there, slowly bring your palms under your knees for an Ardha Uttanasana, half back. And from there, slowly moving to Uttanasana by taking your palms behind your shins, behind your ankles, and draw your belly towards your thighs as much as you can. And slowly start to shift your weight towards your toes and try to straighten the hamstrings as much as you can. Again, this particular action of bringing your chest close to your thighs instantly, increases your, activates your parasympathetic nervous system. So calming you down instantly. Any stressful situation, any tension at work, as soon as you do this, you'll feel an instant emotional release from the system. And from there, slowly come up, push your hip back and give a counter stretch to just release the spine. And moving from there to a wide-legged forward bend, Prasarita Padottanasana. But we'll also do a little bit of squat from there by turning the knees out, toes turned out to a 45 degree. Push the hip back and squat down. Now, the reason why we are doing this pose again is to bring a lot of release from the hips. If you notice, a lot of times our hips are tight because we store a lot of emotions around the hips. So it's very important and essential to open the hips every time you want to feel a release of emotions, a release of stress, a release of energy in the body. You need to open the hips, and this is one posture that will really help to create that mobility in the hip flexor. Kalyasana or goddess pose. And one more round, and this time I'm going to do a twist in Kalyasana by pressing my palms on the knees. Now pushing your palms into the knees, turn the knees out and slowly bring the right shoulder close to your left knee and open the left shoulder up. Again, very powerful to release emotions. A nice wide-legged squat combined with the twist is great for detox, is great for de-stress, releasing toxins from the system, improving the mobility of your hip flexors and opening the shoulder blades as well. And creating a lot of activity around your abdominal space, around your gut, which is where we feel the sense of fear, the sense of doom or anger, all of that is stored in our gut. And from there, taking a slightly wider stance, moving to Prasarita Padottanasana. Take your hands on your hips first. Lift the chest up as you inhale, and from there, take your palms behind your back, interlock your fingers, roll the shoulders back, lift the chest up, and taking a deep exhalation, pull the belly in and start to fold forward. Now try to keep the elbows straight as much as you can and try to bring the palms above the shoulders towards your head as much as you can, as much as mobile your shoulder is. Keep pushing the outer edges of both your feet. Make sure your knees are straight. Allow your upper body to hang down. Again, a great posture for release. Building in a lot of positivity into the body. And slowly come up. Do a slight counter stretch. And release. And heel toe your feet in to bring your feet hip distance apart. Now I'm going to show you an option here for those of you who are not very flexible in terms of squatting down completely. You can keep a block under your heels. Turn the toes out to a 45 degree, squat down into Malasana. Again, we're doing this posture for emotional release because we are opening up the hips here. This is a great hip opener. And for those who are comfortable squatting as it is, you can drop the heels all the way down to the mat. Push the knees with your elbows out, keeping the chest lifted up. I'm getting a little distracted there. I can see a small little girl running towards me. It's a beautiful sight to see, of course. And then she jumps into the pool. And from there, building strength, building confidence. So if you think you have the strength for it, go for a short kakasana by pressing your knees onto your triceps and slowly bring the toes close to each other, lifting up. Arm balances are excellent for building confidence, for building strength, for creating that rush of adrenaline into the body, to bring that sense of joy into the body. So arm balances can really be done every time you feel down and at the slightest hint of depression. And again, moving on to Baddha Konasana, by bringing the soles of our feet together. I'm going to go ahead and keep blocks under my knees because I want to open my hip flexors gently. This is again a pose great for release of any tightness, any tension from the body. So take your palms under your toes, interlock your fingers, lift the chest up. Now take a deep inhalation. As you draw your belly in, you can start to fold forward. So there are two options here. One is to turn the elbows out and go down and try to keep the spine as straight as you can without curving too much. And the other option is you can actually keep the elbows in and keep the elbows pressing down towards your inner thighs and open your feet out like a book and draw the belly in and fold forward as well. If you think you want to bring your knees down a little more deeper, then feel free to go ahead and release the blocks and bring the knees down as much as you can towards the mat. This posture is great for women, especially if you're with premenstrual symptoms, perimenopausal symptoms. It's great release from the body especially if you have cramps, for people with migraine. So this is a fantastic posture that has got a multitude of benefits rather. Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And of course, as usual, as I always say, try to stay in these poses for about 5 to 10 breaths. I don't really stay for a long time because I do not want to create long videos because then it takes a lot of time to upload. So I'm keeping it short, but feel free to stay in the pose for as long as you're comfortable. And from there, I'm going to do the rock the baby pose or the cradle pose. So I'm going to wrap my arms around my right foot, interlock my fingers. You can keep your left leg stretched out if you wish, and simply rock your knees or rock the hips. This is again to create mobility in your hip joint, to create some, to release some rigidity in your quadriceps, in your hip flexors, in your lower back. The cradle pose. Interlock your fingers and repeat on the other side. Instantly calming to the body. And from there we move on to Upavishta Konasana. Again, a great posture to create length, to create release from the system, to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. So separate your feet as wide as you can, pointing the toes towards you. So there are many options in this posture because I know there are a lot of people who are kind of tight there and who probably may not be able to go down. So one option is to keep a block under your elbows, interlock your fingers, and just try to stay there by pressing the hips back into the mat and keeping the legs active throughout the practice. This pose actually is pretty tough for me as well. I find it really hard because sometimes on certain days my hips are really tight. Now make sure your toes are tucked in towards you. Make sure you're pressing your knees down. And if you feel you can go down, you can simply drop your elbows on the mat. Chin is extended. And those of you who can go down completely, you feel free to stretch your arms out and go down all the way. But make sure you don't lose the integrity of the pose or the integrity of the alignment. And of course, as usual, as I always say, twists are paramount in creating a lot of release from the system, whether it is a detox, whether it is a de-stress, whether it is acid reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, digestion issues, gut issues, and emotional release as well, because all of these are interlinked to each other, and most of the disorders we have are psychosomatic. So what is manifesting in the physical body is actually a direct translation of what's happening in your mental body. So incorporating twists with Ardha Matsyendrasana or a simple Marichasana twist is again a great way to create a lot of fluidity around your abdominal space. So there are a couple of options. You can simply grab your left knee with your right elbow and twist back, or you can take your right elbow outside the left knee, squeeze that knee towards your chest and twist and look over your left shoulder. But make sure you're pressing the left big toes down, the right knee down, keeping the spine straight. Lift the chest up, staying here for nice 5 to 10 deep inhalations and exhalations. So if you really look at it, these are not specifically for emotional release only. You can also use this as a practice to build flexibility into your body, as a practice to create more balance, more strength, more awareness to the body, to just generally practice this for a healthy body and mind. And this can be done as a part of your everyday practice as well. And lying down on your back, finishing with a nice twist. Again, supine twists are very important to get release from tightness around your IT band, around your piriformis muscle, around your shoulder blades, around your spine. So bring the left knee all the way to the right side. You can, like the way I've shown you, you can keep a block under your left knee so that you're more comfortable. And since this is a yoga sequence for emotional release, it is very important that you don't suffer in any posture, because then the entire purpose is lost. The idea is to move into postures more fluidly, with a lot of awareness, with gentleness, and to respect your body's limits and to stay in the posture. And for that, it is good if you use props and if you move into these poses safely and gently, so that you don't hurt your body in the process. And from there, finishing with a happy baby pose, Ananda Balasana, as the name itself suggests. Babies are born happy, they're always happy. So if we can try to adopt a childlike attitude or behavior in our everyday life, then I guess most of our problems are solved. Just being curious, being receptive, being open-minded, and being non-judgmental in accepting and acknowledging most of the things that happen around us can create a lot of a mental and beautiful space for you to live in. So finishing with a nice happy baby pose by grabbing your feet from the outside and rocking side to side will certainly bring a lot of joy at the end of the session for you. And I'm also going to do a short Viparita Karani, because I don't have a wall here, but if you have a wall, you can simply put your feet up the wall and stay here. I'm using a block to show you this because I want to see that leg elevated. This is again a beautiful way to release. This is a complete release actually. This is a pose that is beneficial for each and every one, because if you look at it, it just brings the oxygen, the blood back completely back to your body. In fact, if you've been standing for several hours every day, all the blood pools around our ankles. There's a lot of lactic acid buildup, especially if you do a lot of sports. So doing this at the end of every practice or the end of the day or whenever you feel stressed out can instantly revive you. And I'm going to use just a block and just stretch my legs out into a simple modified bridge shavasana, because I feel this gives a lot of release to my lower back. So I'm just keeping the block at the lowest height or at the mid height, and then stretch my legs out. I've kept it at a mid height, I believe. Taking the feet mat distance apart, flopping the feet to the sides, letting go completely into the mat, feeling thankful, feeling grateful for everything that you have in your life. Finishing your practice always by saying a simple thank you to Mother Earth for taking care of you. Consciously slowing down your breath and slowly coming out of the posture. Taking your arms over your head, interlock your fingers, giving a nice stretch to your body. And gently hug your knees to your chest. Stay here if you wish for some more time. And slowly rock up and sit up. And I wish you all a very, very happy New Year 2020. And may this year bring you lots of happiness, contentment and joy in whatever you do. Namaste and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. And my videographer has decided to show you some sights around the community we live. We live in a very, very beautiful community that's almost like a resort. And I really look forward to coming home every single day. And that's the lovely poolside that you see there. Thank you and bye-bye once again.